Hi everyone, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we are taking a look at the Ik Multimedia X Space multi-reverb pedal. So today we are taking a look at the Ik Multimedia X Space reverb pedal. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, I've been a fan of Ik Multimedia's software since 2006. I can actually remember being on tour with the Australian Pink Floyd show, being in Chicago and going for a wander around, went into a music store and saw the software, the box for Amplitube. I think it was Amplitube 3 maybe back then. I can't actually remember which number it was, maybe even earlier than that, but it was for the Ampeg bass amp suite. And I was like, Ampeg amps for my recording. So I bought that for my bass tones and then just really got into the software. Now, more recently, or should I say in the last few years, I've become a lot more involved with the company. I programmed all of the presets that you find when you buy the Brian May Amplitube pack. That was me. I was responsible for those presets for both Amplitube 4, Amplitube 5, and also for the iPad as well. I was involved with the launch of that product. Plus, I've also done additional presets for the Amplitube 5 version of the Slash software. And more recently, I programmed 200 presets for their ToneNet sharing website, their tone sharing website. I recorded lots of audio examples. So when if any of you are on that website and you see tones that have the little Ik Multimedia symbol next or icon next to them, then I'm one of the people that program those presets. So I'm a real big fan of their software. Now, last year at 42 Gear Street, I met up with some friends from Ik, and whilst they were there, they unveiled these pedals, the X Gear range of pedals. We have a drive pedal, we have a modulation pedal, we have the reverb pedal, and we have a delay pedal. Now, because things got a little bit rushed at 42 Gear Street, I was taken off the list for demoing those pedals and having a quick look at those pedals whilst we were at the event. The reason being was that they were giving me the pedals at the end of the event. There wasn't much time, so it was, as you're taking the pedals home, you can demo them at home. I got home with them and then I got an email saying, don't demo those pedals, we're making some changes to them. So I had to send them back. The pedals then sort of started arriving individually, and eventually I had the whole set. So they've kind of been sitting in one of my pedal display cases in the other room. And I must admit, I was a little bit sort of, these look a bit involved. So I've had a bit of time over the last few days to get the pedals out and spend some time playing with them. I get a little bit scared probably when I see sort of pedals with lots of menus and things. When it comes to pedals, I'm a little bit more old school. I just like to dial the knobs. So I knew that these were going to be a little bit involved. Now I had planned to look at the drive pedal first, and then I realized that my channel is pretty much full of overdrive pedals, delay pedals, and the occasional modulation pedal. And I haven't actually looked at a reverb pedal. And there's a reason for that. I don't really like reverb. Yes, I never really use reverb on my guitar in a live situation. The way I see it is my amp's going to be in a space. So why do I need to add more reverb? Now, there's a little bit of an exaggeration. I do have an old reverb unit in my touring rack. I have an old TC unit, which I have used on some tours for specific sounds. When I was doing the Floyd stuff, I had some big plate reverbs from it. And when I was doing the Götterdämmerung tour the other year with Henry Rollins, I had a lot of sort of sound design stuff that I had to play because we were accompanying a big movie. That was quite an intricate project to perform live. And so there were certain reverb sounds, old spring reverbs. If I was playing, I think we did an old Link Ray song and I needed that old kind of dirty sort of spring reverb sound. So occasionally I do use it, but I sort of shy away from it. But since getting into using Amplitube and also getting into using the Helix and especially using the Helix Native, I've discovered a whole world of really beautiful sort of soundscape and sound design style reverbs that work great on guitar in a production environment. So I was quite excited to see what this pedal had to offer. I'm going to put my hand up and make a confession. I've never used a Strymon. I've never used any of the Eventide sort of reverb pedals or anything like that. I just never really gravitate towards that kind of thing. So I'm breaking the mold a little bit today by actually plugging into a reverb. Now, what we have here with the X Space reverb, all of the pedals follow a similar sort of DNA. They are based on the technology that we find in Amplitube 5. And what the team have done at Ik Multimedia, they have produced 16 unique, completely redesigned effects in each of the pedals. So what we have in this pedal are 16 different algorithms ranging from classic reverbs, hall, spring, room, and sort of early reflection style reverbs. I like those reverbs when you sort of get that sort of sound of your amp just being in a small space, all the way up to more sort of elaborate sound design and large space reverbs and reverbs with pitch. So this pedal is based on presets. You have up to 300 presets that you can access. We have the preset knob here. If you see, I'm scrolling through. You can see that it's changing on these little numbers here. It's changing which reverb algorithm I am selecting. You can also select the presets with these three stomp switches here. If you press these two stomp switches together, you go up through the banks. If you press these two stomp switches, you go down through the banks. So you can access all of the presets whilst the pedal is on your board. We have MIDI in and out. So if you use any kind of switcher or any other kind of effects unit, maybe you use, like myself, use a Helix or any of those other kind of units, and you integrate this pedal, then you can obviously call up the presets via MIDI. We also have a remote switch here as well, which you can plug in either an expression pedal for controlling certain parameters, or you can also hook up an additional switch that will enable you to scroll through the banks. So looking at the layout, we have the model encoder knob here, which when you turn that, you can see it's changing to the different algorithms, which you can then save any of those to any desired preset. Over here, we have the preset switch as or dial, should I say, encoder. You can press that control down to save a preset. There's a couple of different ways you can save it. You can kind of do like a deep save, if you like, where you can edit the name and you can edit the location, or you can do a quick save where you literally just hold it down, and any alterations that you've made to that preset, it will just bypass all of the naming and the location sort of part of the saving, and it will just save any of the alterations you've made instantly to that preset. I should also mention that the model encoder, if you press that, it's a back button or a home button. So if I just turn a knob and I go into a different menu and I just want to get back, I hit that and it's just taken me instantly back to the preset, to like the home screen. Down here we have the parameter switch. Now this does two different things. You can press this knob in. If I press it in once, it enters into a secondary set of parameters. On the front here, you have your main parameters that you can quickly adjust to tailor your sound, but also depending on what algorithm you are using, when you push this switch down, you can go in, see we've got shift here, the size and the modulation rate and the mode. Now, once you get onto those parameters, for instance, if I go on shift, or I'm on size, I'll go on size. If I press that in, now I can change the size of whatever that parameter is. I'm not going to say that I know exactly what all the parameters are. There is a lot going on, so it really would be a case of sitting with the sheet and seeing what each parameter affects the specific algorithm. And again, if I want to come out of that, I just push the home button and it takes me back. If you press and hold this down, this enters into the sort of global settings. So that's setting up your MIDI, that's setting up how you view your presets. It's also setting up the either the true bypass or the buffered outputs, and also you can set up the if you have another switch for controlling the presets, or if you have an expression pedal. So there is quite a lot going on with the pedal. As I said, I always get a little bit sort of, I hope I do this right when I talk about pedals of this nature, because there are some little menus and other sub-menus and, pushing switches to get into other parameters that you need to learn. So hopefully that's just giving you a little bit of an overview of what these other switches do. Like I said, it is quite an involved pedal. So now let's look at these controls here, the 5 controls. These are the controls that you're really going to be focused in. These are the ones that will give you instant gratification. These are the ones that you can adjust on the fly and then just instantly press the save button and save your adjusted preset. So, I kind of like that little shortcut that you don't have to go through all the where the preset is, changing the name. You can just go save and the sound is done. So if you're in a rehearsal, you're practicing, or even on a gig, and you want to make some light adjustments, bosh, it's saved. So first of all, we have the time. That time control is going to change the size of the reverb. Next to that, we have I'm looking at my cheat sheet, we have the pre-delay. Now, the pre-delay is quite an interesting control. I've turned pre-delay, and there's actually no pre-delay on this preset. So let me go to a preset where there is pre-delay. Here we go. There's pre-delay there. Now, what pre-delay is it's the time, the delay between the played note and when the reverb begins, basically. So this is really nice. You can use this to add a little bit of clarity to your playing. You don't want to maybe instantaneously strike a note and the reverb appears. You might want so many milliseconds before the reverb appears to just keep, your playing a little bit more defined so that you don't lose the dynamic of your playing as it's swamped in reverb. Following on from the pre-delay, we have the color control. So I like that. It's nice and simple. You're just either making the reverb brighter or a little bit darker. It's quite simplistic. That it's like a general sort of a global tone control. Then we have the modulation control. That controls the depth or how much modulation you hear on the tails of the reverb. And if I go into the parameter control here. If I click that, the shift button, you can actually see here that I have the modulation rate. If I press that again, so I can adjust how fast or how slow the modulation is. And then finally, we have the mix control, where you can blend in how little or how much reverb you want in your dry sound. Obviously, all the way clockwise is going to be 100% wet, and all the way counterclockwise is going to be completely dry. So you can obviously move that control to find a balance of how much reverb you want in your sound. As I've already mentioned, we have the option of either buffered or true bypass. This is a true stereo pedal. You have stereo inputs and stereo outputs. I'm only running a mono input because I'm only using a mono signal on the Helix. I'm using an amp, which is mono. Obviously, I'm going back into the Helix in stereo, and then I'm coming out of my Helix in stereo. So you're appreciating the stereo spread, but I didn't need to send in. I wasn't coming from a stereo after a stereo effect in the Helix. All I'm using is a dry amp in the Helix. We've got MIDI in and out. We've also got the remote foot switch there for either the foot switch for changing, as I said, the presets, or for an expression pedal. We have a USB. Now, this is very, very interesting. The USB, of course, can connect the pedal to your computer, so you can hook it up to the Librarian software. Now, the Librarian software is software that you download when you get the pedal. This will enable you to update to the newest firmware. It also means that you can organize your presets. Now, another really cool thing is that when you get this pedal, you get a light version of Amplitube. And when you register the pedal, this unlocks virtual versions of the pedal within your Amplitube software. So I've already done this. So I've actually got all of the pedals now within Amplitube 5. Now, the really cool thing here is that I actually prefer the interface on Amplitube. Instead of pressing menus, you just click a button and all the knobs change, and you can see all of the kind of hidden sub menus of different parameters. So what you can do is you can actually program your pedal remotely. You can come up with sounds within Amplitube that you really like, and then using the Librarian software, you can actually take your saved virtual pedal presets and move them into your hardware device. So you really have a nice crossover between studio quality effects and studio editing of your effects into the live domain. I think that's really cool. Now, another very cool thing about the USB is that this pedal is actually an audio interface. So if you're on the road and you're doing a little bit of recording, or you want to do some additional practice, or you want to do some additional programming within Amplitube, you can plug your guitar in to the pedal, plug the USB into your PC or Mac, and there you have an interface. The other really cool thing is that you can attach the stereo outputs of the pedal direct to an audio interface, or direct to a PA, or direct to some powered monitors. And within the pedal, you have some cab sims. So you can actually just use this for practice. You can change the cab sims to give you your desired tone. Now, I should also mention these foot switches. Now, obviously, when you're pressing them, this is changing between the different presets. The light, if it's green, that's a saved preset. If I change a parameter, you can see it now goes amber. That means that is an edited preset that has not been saved. Now, as I said, you can hold these two buttons down to scroll down through the banks, or these two to scroll up through the banks. But there is also some additional functionality with these switches. If I just let me just go back to the to that preset. Now, if I hold this knob, this button down, sorry, now the effect is activated. If I take my finger away, the effect deactivates. So you actually have the sort of the control option of just sort of, I want the effect for a very short space of time. I don't want to be double click. I want to add it to a certain passage. So if you hold your foot on, it activates the preset all the while that your foot is down. Now, if I turn on the preset and now I hold the button, you get a little X come up on the screen. That means that we have gone into X mode, and X mode is dependent on what pedal you are using, and the X mode on this particular pedal gives you the maximum amount of feedback on the reverb trails. So it's really nice if you've got a shorter reverb and all of a sudden you want to add a nice big sumptuous reverb for maybe some kind of ambient passage. Instead of changing to another preset, you just hold the designated stomp switch down for that preset and you will enter X mode and it will give you lots of lovely reverb trails. So now let's have a listen to the pedal. Here is my clean tone. Just a little bit of front end compression, and then here's my driven tone. Okay, so you can hear that's nice and dry. So let's go back to the clean sound and we're going to activate the pedal. And what I'm going to do is, instead of pressing these controls, I'm going to scroll through a few of the presets to start off with, and then let's have a listen to the individual algorithms. So this one is called Glitter. Let's have a listen. So as you can hear, it's a nice, sumptuous, spacey reverb that has some form of pitch on there as well. So these are great. I found these really, really inspiring, some of these. Let's go to the next preset. What have we got here? This looks like another sound design style reverb. Obviously, I'm using a volume pedal, should point that out. If I just strike the note. Okay, you can hear that again, that's a very much a sort of sound design. Okay, let's go on to the next preset now. So we've got Magic. Let's have a listen to this one. They're really inspiring sounds to play with. So what's this one? Shade. What's going on with this one? Okay, it sounds like it's sort of following you, it's fading in. What's this one? Big Space. I think the clue is in the name with that one. Lots of lovely spread on them. What else have we got? Liquid. That's pretty cool. as you can hear it sort of moving from side to side. So that gives you an idea of some of the presets. I'm just going to go to a random one. What's that one? Huge. Spring. Oh, what's that one? Yeah, it is spring. Yeah, it's really hard for me to know what these presets are going to be just by their titles. Some are obvious. Okay, so let's now run through some of the algorithms and just experiment a little bit. Let's just have a look and see. We have Shimmer 1 to start off with. So we have the time control, so we can max that out. Drop that all the way down. Okay, you can hear that that's a little, not quite as intense. What have we got here? The pre-delay, that's not activated or available, should I say. We have the color, so we can turn that up. It'll be really bright now. Let's just put a bit more time on it so it's a bit more obvious. Turn the color down. It's a really big sound, that. And then what have we got here? Modulation. So now let's go and have a look at some of the additional parameters. If I click that, we're into shift now. Push that again. That's going to change the pitch. You can hear that changing. Let's go now to another parameter, size. I don't really know. That's pretty big. Let's turn that down. Some pretty freaky sounds coming out of the studio today. And then what else have we got here? Modulation rate. So, yeah, I think it's fairly self-explanatory what's going on. Let's now have a look at the next model. This is Shimmer 2. Again, it's another one of those sort of soundscapey things. Oh, Hall. I know what that reverb does. Let's have a listen to that. Turn up the mix a bit. It's nice Hall reverb. The next one, what we got, Rooms. This is going to be a little bit tighter. Turn down the mix a bit on that. Sounds like there's quite a lot of pre-delay as well. So let's just see if I turn the pre-delay up, that's where you can really... You can hear how long it takes for the delay to be activated. Or should I say the reverb to be activated. What else have we got here? The color. And then obviously the mix control, if I turn that up. Yeah, so it's a really nice sounding pedal, this chamber. So let's just get everything sort of set in the middle because we have been messing around with it a little bit. That's the only thing. As I'm sort of scrolling through the different parameters or as I'm scrolling through the different algorithms, obviously the controls are still sort of set from the previous one. Obviously, it's still displaying as well the preset name, but that is the chamber. Yeah, that's a nice sounding reverb. What else we got? Church. Yeah, they just sound great. You know, I'm not going to sit here and mess around with everything. This video would be like a year long. We have, what was that? That was a plate reverb. Let's just make sure that we've got the color in the middle. Turn off the modulation. We don't really want that. And let's turn off the pre-delay. Mix. It's quite bright sounding, so we can turn the color down. Turn down the mix a bit. Next up, we have the spring reverb. Let's just make sure that everything's sort of set in the middle. Let's put that there. Turn that down a bit. Yep, next, what have we got here? We've got a swell. Oh, this is quite interesting. Turn up the reverb time on that, and let's turn up the mix as well. Got a bit of pre-delay in there. Getting used to the controls a little bit of this. Yeah, I think it's better with the pre-delay off on that one. Okay, nice effects, something a bit different. Gated reverb. Let's just make sure that everything's sort of centralized. That's pretty cool. I like that. Next, what have we got next? Reverse. Probably turn up a little bit more mix on that. Maybe a bit of pre-delay, a bit more reverb time on that. Again, you can go in and adjust the parameters internally when you press that. So you've got, there's so much more that you can do with this pedal than I am showing it. What else have we got? Early reflection. This is one that I like. Just sounds like your amp is in a space. I really like this. Put a tiny little bit of pre-delay on that. That's great. The most boring reverb on there, and I love it. I just like it when it sounds like the amplifier is an environment instead of some kind of synthetic environment. And that, for me, when you get that early reflection, I really like that on the Helix when you go into the cab section, and you could just almost imagine the amp is in like a little booth. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then what else have we got? Extreme. Yeah, there's some stuff going on there for sure. Yes, that's really nice as well. Let's go on to a clean sound. Have a bit of fun with that, with some chords. Turn Turn the mix up. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Oh, I've changed preset now. Now I've gone and done it. Look at that. I've got to go all the way through. Extreme. Ethereal. I really like this one. This was one that I was using during my little intro piece. Set the modulation about halfway. Make sure the color is around 0. Going to turn off the pre-delay for a minute. And the time as well. You could have this a whopping, massive, great big... Yeah, I really, really like that algorithm. That's something that I would use this pedal for. I think some of the things like reverses and gates and stuff like that, I wouldn't really have a need for it. I'd like to use some of the more traditional reverbs, but things like that, I think that is a really beautiful sounding reverb. Bloom, what is this? Okay, so it's kind of swelling underneath you by the sounds of things. And magnetic. Quite interesting. Let's turn up some of the modulation on that. Again, you can, there's so much more you can do than I'm doing here. And then we're back. So yeah, there's a lot of different algorithms. I didn't want to make this video too complicated in terms of, sitting there adjusting everything. I don't think that is really beneficial. I think probably the most beneficial part was the bit of playing at the introduction, because that was a little instrumental piece that I put together on an album years ago. Me and my friend made an album and I recorded that. It was one of those things where I just got home at night in my old studio I had in England and just started, I think I'd been listening to quite a lot of Jeff Beck, started messing around with some chords, and before I knew it, I'd recorded something and then added some keyboards after, and it kind of sat there. And with that piece, there was an album by a band called It Bites. And there was the album was Big Lad in the Windmill. And I always love at the end of that album, there was like this little sort of guitar acoustic thing that sort of bookended the album. It sort of just closed it. And when we put our album together, we decided to put that little piece on. So when I was thinking about things to play, I thought, I might just relearn those chords. And then it sort of took a life of its own, and I ended up adding a little sort of bits of ambient guitar in the middle. So I think that's where this pedal really sort of comes to life. I found it inspiring in terms of some of the sound effects. So, it's a nice songwriting tool as well. I think it's a nice production tool, and it's great for sort of sound design. In terms of the sort of classic reverbs, they're really cool. They work great. The halls, the spring, the room, the plates, the chambers. I'm not too sure about the gated and the reverse reverbs. I never really use those. Maybe you guys are more into that kind of thing. Like I said, I'm not much of a fan of reverb. For me, it's either got to be like it's in a space, or it's got to be some ridiculous kind of sound design thing. There are several reverbs on there that really go, for me, that I really like. And there's a few on there that I'm not too into, but that's not saying they're bad. They're not. It's just my own personal taste. Okay, so to just wrap things up, I should mention that it says paid promotion in the front end of this video. I am not being paid for this video. I was sent the pedals as, here's the pedals. What do you think? Make a video. I've said this before in other videos that I do. If I'm not into a product, then I would rather send it back or not take it on at all. But I think this is a really cool unit. It takes a lot of the elements of the effects that you are able to create within Amplitube 5, those very studio lush effects and puts them into a pedal. At the same time, it also has some of those more traditional reverb effects. Now, I don't know whether I've done this justice. Like I said, I've done a little bit of knob twiddling. It's been more about playing through some of the presets. It's been more about just auditioning the algorithms. You know, you can go into these sub menus. There's so much that you could do. And if there was, you could probably spend an hour or more making a video on each algorithm. So I definitely would check this pedal out. Like I said, I can't really compare it to any other pedals in the market of this ilk because I haven't played them. It's never been something that I've gravitated towards. I've always been a bit more, I like a nice delay. I like a nice pitch shift modulation. I like a nice booster, and that's it. In terms of adding this kind of effect for me, this would be something that I will definitely use. It might be, I've got to come up with something. Oh, that's quite inspiring. Let's build and develop a musical idea around something I've created with the with certain algorithms. So it's a very inspirational pedal. It's really well made and lots of great connectivity as well. I like the fact that you can use this pedal as an audio interface, and I love the way that it sort of interacts between the software versions on within Amplitube and how you can transfer those sounds into the hardware version. So literally from the studio onto the stage. Okay, that's it from me. Click the link in the description if you'd like to find out more information about this product. If you don't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.